Hello and welcome. Let us look at this question that has been asked in GS1 of 2025 UPSC CSE mains. The question is, how are climate change and the sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations? Discuss with examples. Now, this question is of 10 marks and we have to address in 150 words. The answer should be of 150 words. And the key directive of this question is discuss. That is, we have to discuss with the example. Now, first of all, if we look at this question, then this question is not directly of climate change or sea level rise or its impact on many island nations, but we have to interlink. And to understand the context, we need to look at one news that in 2025 August, Tuvalu became the world's first country as far as climate-related migration to any country is concerned. So Tuvalu and Australia, they basically signed a treaty in 2023 known as Philippine Union Treaty. And under this treaty, basically Australia agreed that 280 Tuvaluans can migrate to Australia on an year basis as far as migration is concerned. So this is one of the first example of climate related migration. Now, if we look at the key words, that is climate change and sea level rise. So climate change, we all know that climate change is long-term change in average weather patterns. And it has various impacts, numerous impacts as far as the threat to islands, small island nations are concerned. Whereas similarly, the sea level rise can be also because of multiple reasons like thermal expansion, which usually get induced due to climate change. Then another reason can be melting of glaciers and sea ice. This is sea ice. This is also linked to climate change. And one geomorphic reason, which is due to endogenic force, that is the force that is emanating from the interior of the earth, is submergence of land. This can also be a reason as far as submergence of land is concerned, so that sea level can rise. Now, the major threat to small island countries that have comparatively low sea level is because of climate change. Because what happens is, because of climate change, sea level rises. Because of the expansion, thermal expansion, majority of the sea level rise is linked to thermal expansion. That is around 50% of sea level rise happens because of thermal expansion. Rest 20 to 25% of sea level rise happens because of glacier melting or sea ice melting. So this leads to existential threat to island nations and particularly to small island developing states like Tuvalu, Fiji, Kiribati, Seychelles, Marshall Island, and majority of the country are in southern Pacific Ocean, which we collectively call as Polynesia, Melanesia, Micronesia. So these are the regions. We will see these regions as far as map is concerned. We'll separately address this. We can draw a map also as far as this answer is concerned. But let us first look at the report as far as the sea level rise is concerned, because IPCC released sixth assessment report in which it suggested a trend, and we need to look at the trend, that what is the global trend as far as the last 100 years of sea level rise is concerned, or the last 100 years of global warming is concerned, because the major reason is global warming. So global warming is leading to climate change, and this climate change is leading to sea level rise. That is what we need to see. Now, if we look at this, then as per this report, temperature increased from 1850 to 1900 time period to 2000 to 2019 time period is 0.8 degrees Celsius to 1.3 degrees Celsius. And if we talk about the average rise, then it is 1.07 degrees Celsius. Now, what happens because of this 1 degree Celsius rise of temperature as far as global temperature rise is concerned? This leads to 20 centimeter rise in sea level since 1900. And the way temperature is increasing, that is around 2.2 to 2.5 degree temperature increase is going to happen by the end of the century. The sea level rise might become 1.1 meter, which is significantly huge. This will lead to submergence of numerous low-lying islands. And because of this, WMO also released a report in 2023 that sea level rise is happening 3.7 to 3.8 mm annually. Now, this might look very small, but this is a huge rise. as far as the small island developing states are concerned, like Maldives. You can consider an example in Indian Ocean as well, because Maldives is also low-lying island. If we talk about the Indian islands, Indian group of islands or archipelago, then Lakshadweep is also a low-lying island, which is also threatened by the sea level rise. Now, different types of islands have different types of threats as far as the climate change and sea level rise is concerned. But here in this answer, we need to talk about the climate change induced sea level rise. And now we have to look at the major threat to low lying islands, because initially the threat is in low lying islands as far as sea level rise is concerned. Because if we talk about comparatively higher islands which have comparatively higher altitude, then the threat is not related to sea level rise, but related to various uh, mm, events, weather events like cyclones or hurricanes. So initially, if we talk about the climate change induced sea level rise, then extreme weather events becomes frequent because of the rising sea temperature. Because if we consider cyclones only, then cyclones require a sea surface temperature of around more than 27 degrees Celsius. This is how tropical cyclones form. This is one of the prerequisite for tropical cyclone. And tropical cyclone is similar to hurricanes. Both are same, but having different nomenclature in different parts of the world. So cyclones and hurricanes becomes more frequent and they become more intense as well. And these cyclones and hurricanes, they lead to floods, they lead to storms. So these are the possibilities of frequent weather events. For example, we can talk about one cyclone, Cyclone Wilson. This caused havoc in Kiribati as far as 2016 is concerned. Even in Marshall Island, it caused havoc. Now, if cyclone is not happening or rain-related disaster is not happening, then because of droughts, wildfires can be seen, forest fires can be seen, bushfires can be seen. So there is huge threat as far as this cyclone is concerned. And this cyclones or this kind of extreme weather events, they basically threaten the ecosystem. They damage the ecosystem, especially the marine ecosystem. When we talk about corals, then you might have heard about Great Barrier Reef. You might have heard about the reefs in fringing reefs in Lakshadweep. They are especially threatened to the small temperature changes. For example, the tropical coral reefs, if there is a change of 1 degree Celsius of temperature, then there can be coral bleaching. Because of this, there is migration of fisheries as well. Although we talk about mangroves, that mangroves acts as a barrier as far as this extreme weather events are concerned, but they can also limit these extreme events up to certain extent. After that, they will not act as a barrier, they will also be threatened. And other marine ecosystem like seagrass can also be threatened. They can be damaged because of these kind of events. If we talk about the economic stress as far as the overall damage to the small island states because of these events are concerned, then this can lead to $1.3 trillion US loss, which is 0.2% of world's GDP. And if we particularly talk about the stress, economic stress, then the stress is on infrastructure like roadways, infrastructure like storage, warehousing, then various other transport infrastructures are threatened because of it. Then there can be threat to agricultural system. Now these small islands are of have very smaller areas. For example, Tuvalu is only 25. Tuvalu has an area of only 25 square kilometer, which is significantly less area, and that there too the agriculture system is prone to disasters. So definitely there is threat to the overall economy, which can lead to loss of livelihoods. And because of this, because of loss of livelihoods, there is forced migration. And as per the report of International Organization on Migration, on an average, 25 million displacements have happened on a yearly basis because of this kind of climate change. Along with this, when the extreme events happen in the across the coastal region, then this can lead to the freshwater contamination, because there is intrusion of salt water from the coastal region, and they can basically pollute the freshwater resources that is available, that too which is available in very small amount, very feeble amount as far as these small islands are concerned. So they are basically dependent on comparatively larger countries which are nearby, so that they can send the support as far as the freshwater contamination is concerned. Similarly, because of these events, the coastal erosion happens, which gets accelerated because of the increase in frequency and intensity of these events. So if you look at the map that which all regions are threatened by the climate change induced sea level rise, then the major region which is impacted because of it is the Polynesia, Micronesia, and Melanesia region, which is the Southern Pacific Ocean region. Here you can name various islands because we have to discuss this question with examples. So here you can name various islands like Kiribati, like Marshall Islands, Tuvalu, Tonga, Solomon Islands. You can name various islands from this region. You can also name major islands like Indonesia, Papua New Guinea. They are also threatened. You might have heard about the shifting of the capital in Indonesia from from Sumatra to Kalimantan region. So that is threatened. If we talk about the Indian Ocean region, then Maldives and Seychelles are threatened. Similarly, the Caribbean island region is threatened as far as the Atlantic Ocean is concerned. So there is huge threat to these islands. These examples you can use as far as the climate change induced sea level rise is concerned. You can use example of Fiji because in Fiji, because of cyclones, there has been huge damage, which also led to sea level rise, which led to loss of around $1.3 million as far as Fiji is concerned. So towards the end, we can only say that whole of the global community, especially the developed country, need to address this issue, and that too with long-term and short-term approach. That in long term we need to address the global warming, and in short term we need to address the issues, particularly in this small island developing states, because they need support from the developed countries. Until and unless we are not providing them support, then they are going to vanish. For example, there is a report which suggests that by 2050 Tuvalu will submerge, and that's why this treaty, that Philippine Union Treaty, becomes significant. And this is an image of a Tuvaluan lawmaker who basically addressed the COP in 2021 by submerging by half submerging into water. So this shows the nature of threat that is there as far as the small island developing states are concerned. Thank you.